America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
And once they have established this as a precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people.
Nothing.
It's all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on April 15th. Yes, halfway through the month of April already. But Saturday night, no better place to be in the globe than with State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa. They are here, right now. They're here, right now. What's going on, family?
Hey, yeah.
Good. Aisha, you're muted. We can't hear you, Aisha.
Oh, okay.
Now we can hear you, Aisha. There we go. What's been going on, ladies? How's the week been?
Busy. Who can breathe with everything going on? But you know what? You know what I did this week? I'm going to tell you what I did this week. I decided that I was going to take at least 2 seconds. I walked down to the ocean. I closed my eyes. I let the sun hit my face. I had gratitude. And then I felt better. We all have to step away from this at some point. So even the small moments are important.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I went to the beach this morning with my husband, and we met a friend for like an early breakfast. And that was good to not be bombarded with all the nonsense. But then we spent like close to 2 hours in the traffic just to do all of these things. That's when living in Los Angeles makes zero sense. You know? Crazy.
Zero sense.
Yeah.
Aisha, it's been hot in Connecticut.
Yeah, it's April, and Wednesday through Friday we're in the 90s, which is not normal. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 57. So
yes.
It doesn't. Tell me climate change doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're the same.
Now telling you climate change doesn't exist.
And I'll screenshot you my temperatures.
Yeah, the same here in Toronto. We broke like 30-40 year records like 3 times this week, like daily records. It's just been really warm, but we're even looking at maybe some wet snow on like Monday night. Yeah,
really?
wet snow. That's snow. Crazy. Yeah, that's out of bounds. What is up? Jen Meyer says hello. And she also says it has been really warm here in Cleveland. So it seems that a lot of people are getting their an early summer still throughout spring, but that's good. That's good. Jill, actually all of you, do you notice more? Well, I guess we compared to the last few years, how many people are getting out? Like the numbers of, just out and about, like people are really taking about.
I actually was talking about that today. I feel like there is some sort of emergence of like people feel a certain comfort level right now. Just I'm just sitting here waiting on the boomerang effect to happen because they're gonna bring something to corral us into something else. I mean, but yeah, there's a lot. I mean, here there's just the traffic is sort of indicative. People are traveling more. A lot of people. Isn't this like spring break kind of era?
It,
Yeah, definitely.
I think sort of that like that.
Like for
Sort of
elementary school and middle school and high school kids, yeah, because
even college, because hubby's class last week was spring break for him.
Yeah, my daughter had hers in March.
And then it's SAT time, I think, for some. Coming up. So there's a lot of like people getting to get, we'll see what happens though. But it has a false sense of something for me because, I don't know. It just always
But
feels
the social media has gotten so toxic. People are like, the only way I can get away from all of this is just to go out.
Yep.
I do agree with you. I think a lot more people are getting off of social media and taking some mental health care days, just getting off of it. There was a point that I was like sitting there looking at stuff on Twitter the other day, and I said, you know what? You people on here, myself included, we're a handful compared to the rest of the world, and not everybody is knee-jerk triggering. The world, you can think, is Twitter, but to be honest with you, once you step out and go to the Dairy Queen or something, you realize people don't even know what the hell is going on. They really don't.
I have to get to the Dairy Queens at least once in the summer. I get to a Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
and have something have something that's not good for me.
Yeah, I'm nostalgic for the Dairy Queen. Fake ice cream and stuff.
But so, does anyone have a favorite thing from Dairy Queen?
Banana split.
Okay.
I love peanut butter.
Dipped chocolate cone. Don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the classics are the best.
There you go. So Jen says, okay, let me get it here. Our temp is going to drop 2 in Cleveland. Wigmaniac. Hello, good to see you. I thought spring break was last month. I don't know what's going on with the education system, so I don't know when it is.
I don't think anybody knows what's going on with the education system.
Black Beauty says, hi, family. 74 degrees here in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
All right. I didn't know that's where you were, Black Beauty. Columbus? All right. Okay. Well.
You got a lot of Ohio people, funny enough, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, and Jill, you have some ties to Ohio, don't you also?
Mm-hmm. I have family in Ohio.
Okay. All right. Well, we have to do it because it wouldn't be State of Things without it. Let's get to our stories. Oh, one other thing before we get LaLa. Don't give me that look, LaLa, please. Also, for those who are watching live or on the replay, or if you're listening on a replay audio-wise, if you can, if you have to subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, hit the subscribe and the notification button. Like it on Facebook, wherever you're watching it. Please like it. That look from LaLa was priceless. But let's get to it. Justin Pearson sworn back into Tennessee House.
Shouldn't have been kicked out in the first place, you haters. I mean, come on. This really backfired on them. I mean, it backfired on them. And what cracks me up is people don't waste no time in finding your dirt. So they call themselves kicking out people who didn't need to be kicked out. And then immediately they caught one of them like claiming tax money for driving and wasn't even driving. And so they started putting everybody's business out there. So they hurried up and instated them. They don't want no more dirt being thrown.
None. I'm still trying to figure out how they got rid of them based upon the fact that we couldn't even in LA City Council couldn't even get rid of Gil Cedillo and Kevin Daniel.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And our people need to work much harder. Come on, that was insanity. The fact, this is my problem with Dems. the fact that it always gets to the 100th hour and then we got to wait for the next episode. You know, it's like, then the TV, then it goes off and you're sitting there like going, oh my God, there's a cliffhanger. It's always a cliffhanger with Democrats. And that should have never happened. That should have been somebody jumping right in front and said, no, you are not going to do that. And it would have helped to have had, you know, our Justice Department somehow find a law. I don't care anymore. Find it, because the Republicans are. And what's also really baffling, like today I was just sitting in the car, we had the time, and I just started thinking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, she had a great career and whatever, but she kind of screwed us over. She should have gone when Obama was in, and she should have left, because she knew for a fact, like even when she just should have left. Yeah. It was just incredibly selfish for her to hang around, because we lost that moment, considering that, you know, we had already lost the other appointment with
Gorsuch.
Yeah. So for me, it was just, you know, and here we are again. And it's like right now, I think that if Dems, they need to get rid of Feinstein too. She's got to go.
Yes. I agree.
Shingles, girl, bye. Go home, take care of your
honestly, she's done good work.
Yes.
But you know what? There comes a time where you need to put yourself aside and do what you need to do. Go enjoy the rest of your life, honey. You deserve it.
I know. And I don't know why she's here. I'm like, what is your intention? To make more money for your family? Which, you know, to be honest, she should have been, this is my point. She should have been asked to leave a few years ago when she sold her stock. Now, I'm a Democrat. And that's fine. But the only reason we didn't go for the other Republicans who were dirty during the pandemic and sold their stock, insider stock trading, because they got an indicator from the pandemic. The only reason nobody went for Miss Feinstein was because she was a Dem. And so as far, you know, we didn't want to give up one of our own, but girlfriend, take the L and go bye. Because technically your ass should have been kicked to the curb right then, and they should have investigated you. I mean, it's time. And that's what I don't like about her. It's the lack of gratitude. It's like, that's something that made me see her as a very ugly human being, because you can't live off your Harvey Milk days forever. You turned into an ugly old bee here. That was not cool. And we did you a solid by letting you stay here. But there's a couple of times now you need to go. As quiet as it's kept. You need to go and spend some time with your family and tell them all the little tips and secrets and things you need to for as a family crone in your legacy. But we ain't your family, and we did you a solid. And I don't like that about the Dems, because she really needed to pay.
I agree.
And she shouldn't have her.
Always it should be fair. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. If you do some dirty shit like that, then you need to go. I mean, you need to be called to task. I don't care if you're a Dem or a Republican. If you did it, you're guilty. You need to move on. But you know, and as for us always trying to protect our people, I don't see them protecting us right now.
No, because Justin Pearson and them had to crawl back. They fought, and if it wasn't for the young people, the young millennials and the young Gen Zs to pull them back, I'm sorry, I don't think they would have been, because I don't really recall hearing too many in our Congress like going and really flying down, taking a stand. That was a take a stand moment, and they almost did. So my hands are out. I will give money to like Ruben Gallego, because I want him to take out Kirsten Sinema's area. And, you know, but the rest of them won't see anything of my hard-earned money. And Newsom. Those are the only two. And Newsom needs to make sure he has a conversation with Diane. Like, he needs to give her a serious one, because Ro Khanna, I loved him actually, because he brought it up like, yo, you haven't been here for like 8 weeks. And then she's like, I had shingles. I'm like, you're 90 years old and you had shingles, girlfriend.
It's time to go.
And after what Justin Pearson and everybody went, it was like, really? Like, yo, okay. I felt, you want me to feel bad that you couldn't participate in the vote, but I'm still perplexed. Like, okay, then let's just call it a day.
I've got a question. Oh my gosh. Shingles, Feinstein. What else? And we're only a few minutes in. Oh my
She's
goodness.
so old she killed shingles.
Oh, jeez. I have a question.
I think shingles went, oh, I can't. No offense.
Should I do one of these right now, Jim? Okay, I did come back. But obviously you don't need me tonight, Jill Jones. Jill G, you don't need me.
I'm trying to be team tonight.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
Really.
Let me. So Black Beauty goes. All we heard from the Dems regarding Tennessee House stomp was crickets.
Yeah,
and that's the disappointing part. That's the disappointing part. The only person I actually saw was the Democrat in the House for that region, Cohen. He was the only one who was on. But the fact that none of them, at least the Legislative Black Caucus, y'all been holding marches in Texas and Florida. Yeah. Y'all should have gone to Tennessee. I mean, it is a heavy. It was an easy lift. There was no reason for them not to go. The only person who showed up. Okay, the very next day she flew in on Air Force Two and was there at my alma mater, Fisk University, and talked with them. But the part that bothers me more than anything is that they're on the internet.
Go ahead.
Are you getting feedback? They're on the internet now talking about how, why is he, look at him, why he changed the way he talks, the way he looks since he was 21, this and that, code switching, and white people just discovered it today. It's been around forever, but they just discovered it today and they're hot about it. But it's like, okay, did you not the last time was a self-inflicted wound to the point that you had to let him back in reluctantly, because on that tape, like that guy said, I was called a racist so many times, because you can't deal with the Black people deal with all the time, okay? So you would think that after the stuff with the speaker came out, that he has a $600,000 house in Nashville where his family primarily lives, and it is a violation of Tennessee law that you cannot live outside of your district longer than the legislative session. Okay, you would think that they would be quiet right now, but no, they're out here trying to drag this and this. So Justin's response, exactly, his response is that he sees them talking about code switching. Remember, he's a Gen Z. He's talking about code switching. What's the first thing he does? He goes and he talks to somebody at Solana, and he brings up talking about how he got back in and code switching right there out in the open. And it's like, look, you're complaining. How is he getting to be this big? He just wants attention. Not really. He didn't want attention. You gave him the spotlight. You keep going, and it just elevates him more and more and more. You're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're doing him a good service, and you're doing the people of Tennessee a good service. So keep talking. Y'all just gonna have to vote yourselves out. You're gonna vote your own selves out, and the more you talk, that gives people more room to go digging in your background. Dogs holler, so all the people talking loud. Watch.
When you see that, though, you have to also look what's happening around it, because then all of a sudden, all the little minions who've been given a paycheck, it's like the Heritage Foundation called them all and said, I need you to be a traitor this week to your people. So Charlemagne got a phone call. So did Tariq Nasheed, or whatever the hell his name, the one who was on MTV, who had the show about how to dupe a woman into liking you.
He's always a jerk.
Whatever. But basically, it was check time. It was welfare time for Charlemagne and Tariq. And they were there to get it, to collect it. Because then they start throwing out these erroneous, crazy statements and doing a lot of double speak. And even they were the first to talk about code speak and all of this stuff, considering that Tariq was literally talking about a book called The Code, the Men's Code. It's like, you hypocrite. I hope they get paid well. They're, because they're not going to be in the long haul very well respected at the end of the day. It's so obvious because now you can see the timing of it. We got to put these little black people back in the box over here. This one with the afro. So let's let them all hit. Let's call in our favors to the ones that we keep on radio, the ones that we keep on corporate state radio, like Charlemagne. Charlemagne's there because of corporations that are state run and state paid for by lobbyist groups. That's the only reason he's able to straddle the fence. Period. There's no black people that own these radio stations. Where are they? How many shareholders are in any of iHeartRadio's platform? Where?
And he wouldn't dare do a show for Radio One because that is owned by a black woman, and he just doesn't like black women.
So what is horrible to me is that, you know, someone like Justin Pearson and all these different things happening is that, you know, it's the same as I said about Representative Jamal. I'm sorry, I forgot his last name, where he was going on about, no Democrats come and show up, even just to stand firm beside somebody. Even if you don't have anything to say, you stand there as support. We are losing. Democrats better get their shit together because people are looking at that. I'm looking real hard and I will vote. And it's a time that I would say, if you want to challenge somebody, do it. Even if you don't think you're going to make the money for a campaign, just for giggles and whatever, do it. You'll be surprised who decides to start dropping you some money for this stuff because
Regina goes, where did the 600K come from?
Something dirty from some time.
And just because it be said in open space, is Martin Luther King the only preacher that white people know? Because they're all like, he sounds like Martin Luther King. He sounds like Martin Luther King. And I'm like, no, he sounds like a preacher's kid. He actually has a cadence of Malcolm X, not Martin Luther King so much. That would be the other.
Heaven forbid if you say X, anything X, Aisha. No, they can't do it. They can't do it. They can't.
And someone was like, he's not a pastor. I'm like, he was just not Christian. And then someone said, but Malcolm, you know, Martin Luther King was a preacher's kid. I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't talking about Martin Luther King as a preacher's kid. I was talking about preacher's kids in general. Tell me you don't know any black people at all.
Yeah. It really reveals their ignorance always. It's just a real giveaway.
And they're talking about, but I got black friends, but your black friends don't know you. You might think they're your friends. I mean, just because you say hi to the security guard on your way up to your office doesn't mean y'all are friends.
Exactly.
You're familiar.
True.
Oh boy. This incident has really just continues to show at least from my lens, the more I know, the less I understand, especially when it comes to race in America. Like really and truly, it's a really sad
racism, and they just now want people to know that they are. There are a few now who are very, very open about it in that Tennessee court, and they've even have documentation to prove it about that $600,000 guy. And it's, you know, it's a shame. But, you know, it's right we're standing on the precipice of something. But these people are really like screwed up. I got to tell you, I watched a video of a guy talking about Armageddon coming. Armageddon's coming. Look at this. We're, you know, get your guns and whatever. And I thought to myself, ye of little faith, if you know your Bible, it says there will be Armageddon, a great tribulation, all of it. But there's no part where it says, do not worry. It says this is what's supposed to take place. Y'all going to be like rounded up and treated like hell and tortured and whatever. But these people think that they're going to fight God's war with their AK-40, whatever they got, 15s. No, that part is not in the Bible. And here's the point. You should be rejoicing that this is what's happening. You should actually be, if you believe it, you should really be on pins and needles that you're about to get to meet your Lord and your maker. You should be like that. But no, the NRA even got more bold, like, okay, so what? God needs an army? So we have, these people are very,
to fight Satan. Yeah. These things were prophesized. And what I'm getting at is these people are a mess, a true mess, because they also have no faith in their God that they preach so heavily about. So they don't know preacher.
But they don't. That's the whole thing, Jill. They don't read. They pick and choose. They hear somebody else say it.
Somebody say it all wrong.
Reading and understanding. They're just not doing
They should just be sitting, going about their business, not even getting involved. What does it say? Be in the world, but not of it. Don't vote. All that stuff. Just pay your taxes and go. But they won't do it because their egos won't let them, and they think they're going to outbox God. Let me tell you, their arms are too short to box God's. Mm-hmm. And that was
let me just ask in this whole scope of things, does the whole incident in Tennessee, how long-term impact does this have, if any?
Oh, I think it has a long-term impact because now they're taking on every issue with race. They were talking about the funding to colleges the other day, built on racism. They brought back the gun stuff, and now Tennessee is really being kicked into having to do something on guns because they are so embarrassed by what happened. Every day, something new comes out about the shady shit they did behind this, and now they're having to go back to Jim Crow, but they're going back and they're doing it. They're having to do this. It's like, you know what? All you had to do was let them talk.
Mm-hmm.
This could be.
Well, you saw the
all you had
governor
to
came
do
out
was shut up.
and all of a sudden decided that he was going to talk about gun reform, even though the rest of his party was arguing with him. He was quick with it, talking about he needs to come back out. He saw the writing on the wall.
Right.
All right.
He's got some secrets he probably doesn't want to come out either.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of digging going on with all these judges and these people at this moment, and you've got to remember, none of them have ever been trustworthy. None of them. No. And everybody has a secret.
Well, speaking of judges, we're going to be speaking about a judge in a little bit. So just hold on to your hats. One of the ladies' favorites, Governor DeSantis, signs a 6-week abortion ban into law.
Does he sleep?
In the middle of the night.
He took his cue from Trump. He started doing everything at night, right? He just followed everything. Listen, this man needs to stay out of women's wombs. Now, I am so sick of men trying to control us. If you are so worried about these babies, I'm going to need you to put a vasectomy in there, okay? So if y'all so worried about birth control, then it's time for you to do something about your little things that you worried about to help to get these babies. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. He's sneaky. He's trying to be cute. And not only on top of that, guys, he signed something else that was absolutely crazy at like 11 o'clock at night, screwing Floridians. Right. So on your real estate, he was on a roll. He was just going down the list. And I think this is going to backfire on him because honestly, there is a huge percentage of people who did support him that are also saying, we don't want this.
But I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for them at all. No. They were okay with him doing everything in the broad daylight. He did some of the most disgusting things. So we're going to really get to the levels of like where he made sure he didn't even respond for emergency services when Fort Lauderdale was underwater. You know what? Floridians get what they deserve. I don't feel sorry. I'm not going to lift a finger to send any money to anybody's cause because they deserve the mess they're in. Sorry, that's just something that was ridiculous that they've allowed it to go. Burning books, banning books, all of it was fine. And now I'm supposed to break because all of a sudden you're mad about your real estate. Oh, your money. Right. Screw you.
Your money. That's it. Your money. It's all
I say, Ron DeSantis, burn it up. Tear it all up. Give them what they deserve because they voted you in. Give them every bit of vomit that you have, every bit of wickedness you have in you that they saw as light. Give it to them. Give it all.
And that's the thing is, if he does,
you know what? Some Floridians, you get what you
want. Right? I can bite all of them because after a while, you only can put yourself in a certain container before it backfires on you. You talking about you don't want this, you want that. You minute you have another hurricane, which you're going to, okay? Who you gonna call? Are you gonna call? Go, help us, come down and help us.
He didn't care about us in California with our fires. Why should we care? And neither did they. Because here's the thing. They think they are only run by their state. They thought they were above it all. They don't need help from anybody. Fine. Suit yourself. I would just cut off the faucet, because the reality is, apparently, there's a lot of other measures to get rid of people. Judging by what happened in Tennessee, I'm all for you all need to get clever, and however long this goes back in, but you voted him back in and his wife. And the only thing I can see about Floridians is you only moan when it affects your pocket. You don't think about us. So why should we give a shit? I don't give a shit. I don't plan on ever being in Florida. So what?
I personally think he's not going to run because this doing that at night. Look, like I said in our stuff is that, you know what, we'll go to bed one night, wake up, boom, he rescinded the Emancipation Proclamation, and we're all, some white person gonna come door and say, hi, you're my slave now. Promise.
Yeah,
he can, because he did that. Like he signed the 15-week abortion law. Then he's now reduced it to the 6-week, and he did it in the middle of the night on purpose because he wants there to be some kind of discrepancy. I mean, he's blatantly lied in art and conversation, saying, I didn't do that. He just likes to throw it out. And to be honest with you, every stupid reporter that goes there and tries to at least and we're here in front of the governor's mansion, start asking him the real questions, get thrown out of a session with him, start putting his on the line, because, people like that, they shouldn't even be able to collect a paycheck. It's really ridiculous.
The thing is, why doesn't he get a new song? The whole playbook is straight Trump. Everything is straight Trump.
That it's actually very, very Hitler-esque. It's very Hitler-esque. You cannot be so close to where you have virtually banned books and are getting rid of libraries where people who are educated and became librarians, and you want to remove places that can educate your people where they can find answers. And I'm sorry, for me, that's a little too Third Reich. And there's nothing else and I'm not trying to all of a sudden, oh my God, you're using they're using, when you say the name Hitler, they want it to be like, oh, you're using the black card. Oh, you're using the Hitler card. Yeah, I'm using it because it's apropos right now. Yeah, we're going to use that Hitler card because that's who you all want to be. Y'all emulate, y'all love him. And you're pretending not to see. Get a clue.
It's like he's also in competition to see if he could be the meanest of the red state governors. Like Missouri, they just voted to defund all of the libraries in their public libraries in their state.
Oh, Missouri's another that's up there doing whatever it wants to.
But watch, DeSantis saw that move. He's going to just shut the ones down in Florida, period.
But the thing is, people don't know how to fight. There's too many lobby groups involved in Florida. There's too many things that people are compromised on because they're semi-wealthy. They rely on tourism. They don't have the heart in them or the to in fact, most Americans don't have it in them to toughen up and to go and sacrifice a thing. They whinge, they whine, they moan. That's why it's kind of really pretty freaking amazing that Black people were able to achieve what we did in the 60s, because we don't have people that are built like that anymore. I hate to say it. We just don't. They don't exist. Even our Black people of today, there's not enough of them that have the integrity or spines, because there'll be somebody out there robbing you while you're out there walking in a march. Somebody's going to rob your, it's just like, then you have that going on. Let's just be honest. Yeah. Somebody deciding to watch the Kardashians. Yeah. We have some real losers too.
Yeah.
Ruined in the brain. So it goes across the board, but that is the American culture. That has nothing to do with even color. It's the culture of this country is like chlamydia.
LaLa, let me ask you, you were a former resident of Florida.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of still down there finishing up stuff. I'm still registered there.
Why did you leave?
Well, the only reason we went there in the first place was a family emergency.
Okay.
It was never my intention to ever stay in Florida. And in fact, most of the people that I know that, while I was there helping to sell real estate, I truly asked them, I said, are you sure you want to come here? I mean, I know that was probably shooting myself in the foot, but I was being very honest with them. Like, I think you really need to check yourself before you really buy a piece of property down here, because you think that it is affordable, but it is not affordable. Just because it doesn't have state tax doesn't mean that everything else is not going to kill you in the water. And sure enough, oh, but the weather. Look, what weather? The hurricanes come every year. What is the problem? So I never was a Floridian. I never had my heart in it at all. I was only there to take care of family, which to me is a moral responsibility. I will always take care of my family. But you'll never catch me in there. Cuba's money. Get the salt. I'm not coming. Nope. Nope.
Wow. Florida. And so, Aisha, you don't think he's going to run?
No. Not after this, because he was betting on trying to win a general. And his advisors are going to tell him, after you did this, you will not win a general, especially on this particular issue. If you did it with anything else, it would have been fine. But this issue that Republican women also support at like 60% it's not a winning issue for him. He's done. He might continue to run in Florida because he can do that, but not nationally.
Okay. Black Beauty says
Republican women nationally.
So Black Beauty says these Republicans, so-called righteous abortion banning hypocrites, should be made legally to take care of all the unwanted babies that these women are forced to birth.
Yeah. And here's the other thing I just want to bring about. It's like this system is getting so bogged down with the most things that we'd already dealt with as a society, as a country. And now, we are so third world, fourth world. They found an inmate dead in Atlanta jail, eaten by bed bugs. I mean, what kind of a country are we running? Like, these are the things that we're finding out about. And only reason that it gets written about is because it's in the European press. The craziest thing is there's so much subversion and how they're hiding information. If Americans really understand what has happened, the devaluation of our land, it's almost like there's so many people being paid to dismantle it. And I believe it's coming from our adversaries globally. And here people are bent on TikTok and whatever. And we have jails where people are literally being eaten alive by bed bugs. And it was so bad that they had to go in hazmat suits to retrieve his body.
Okay. Here's another comment here. Cinnamon Canela says, well, Jill, Floridians are really worried about the real estate. I just so happened to be in Miami yesterday. Those Cubans love DeSantis.
Because they came from nothing. Look at what they came from. They're willing to settle for anything. Don't get it twisted. Yes. They're also incredibly racist. They are not our friends. And I, as a Democrat, am okay with the border being closed to a lot of Hispanic people. No lie. No, I'm not even going to lie about it. You want to know why? Because there is a tremendous amount of racism in the Hispanic community towards Black people. And let's just stop acting like it doesn't exist. It does. They come here, they pool their money, they buy a building, and then who don't they allow to live in their buildings? Black people. So I'm okay. I'm okay with shutting that down.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I was listening to a commentary this week, and he said, anyone who tells you that there's a Black-Brown alliance in America is a joke. It's a joke. The only
Black-Brown alliance is when we're all of the same African blood here. We're not like, don't, because you have the Dominicans who think they're a little bit better. How I know this is, go to a Dominican hair salon in New York. if they don't want super, super kinky hair, they will say they don't have time. And then they'll do crazy stuff like put relaxer inside the shampoo so that your hair falls out a week later on serious darker skinned sisters. I know this has happened to friends of mine. So I'm going to tell you something. Don't try to kumbaya us. There's a real issue and a real freaking problem.
Well, and just to take it to another extent too,
the ones I find that don't have
no, one of the most racist.
I was going to say the ones that I don't find.
Go ahead, Aisha.
No, sorry. I was going to say the one thing that I do find are the ones who are darker skinned Latinos who get the racism because they're black. They're actually black. Those are the ones that will be like, you know, I'm done with this part of the Latinx community.
Well, if you want to see racism even worse than any real racist that supports 45, go to Brazil.
Yeah.
Oh, honey.
Right.
Well, I mean, let's go and find his baby mama, the one that he had a baby with, right?
Thank you.
Tina made another one, you know, like, let's see how that turned out. We know they all like to dip in. It's not unusual that there was something from that. But my whole point is, you know, racism is a funny thing when people feel like they're on the inside house as opposed to being in the field. And that has existed. That psychology has been trained and tamed and corralled ever since slavery because they know how to make people who they don't really feel very great about, like who they're racist against, they know how to make that one feel like it's a special brown person. Because
division is always at the root.
That's why Tim Scott feels okay, and old ugly Clarence Thomas. They're the special ones that got let in the door. But that's a very incredibly. Don't ever forget, Hitler sent his men over here to learn how that was done. He actually did. They took a trip from the Third Reich. They traveled over here, and if you want to read more about it, get that book called Caste. It will explain how that happened and how they deployed on a group of men who came here and studied Southern racism. Okay, and then they went back and told goals.
So Regina says it's like Anita Bryant all over again. Cinema Canal says Brazil, yes, second Venezuelans, and guess where Balaceros is living now? And then,
of course,
yeah, and then Blackview says Jill's right. Hispanics tend to vote Republican. Identify as white as well. Segregate and separate. Truth be told.
Yeah, I mean, and when they go to make their features white in Venezuela, it's one of the top places for plastic surgery. I mean, I can't believe it every time we look at these top 10 lists of who they say the most beautiful women are. I'm like, these are all plastic. You can't tell me. I mean, put Barbie in the lineup then. Put her in there. She's in the top 10 as a pretty woman because they're not.
Well, you know, the debate right now is putting Milena and Michelle.
Michelle.
I can't believe this. I mean, first of all, I'm in this self-respecting woman. I'm sorry. I know y'all heard me say this, but I don't want to see my first lady's stuff.
I know.
I don't like that. There was classy about that. Girl, you had so much plastic surgery. How is that pretty? You're not pretty.
But it fits the brand. The brand has no class. It fit the Trump brand. No, everything is so tacky.
You're ugly on the inside. I don't care what you look like on the outside. It comes out. Look at it.
I had to laugh. Even his wife was on brand with his tacky broke back beat. Because it's like it was so on brand. I mean, you can't even make that up. Of course, he wouldn't be with a very classy woman. He doesn't attract that in his life. That's not who he attracts. And when you ever are around people and you see the energy that they bring around with them, that's very telling. Everybody he's brought around has been like, you wouldn't even want to have you wouldn't even rub your toenail juice on them.
And he's a serial cheater. So, I mean, how pretty is she if he prefers to sleep with a porn star and a Playboy model while you were nursing a 4-month-old baby? I mean,
They always say it's a horrible saying, and I've heard it, show me a beautiful woman and I'll show you a man who's tired of you-know-whatting her.
Yes, that's true, though.
It's terrible that it gets reduced that way, but her husband never elevated her either more, and she never elevated herself to be more. Let's just be very honest. She has not done anything for her own identity. That everybody's moaning, oh, she didn't get on Vogue. She turned down Vogue. Why? Because she wanted special treatment. Like really, like she wanted to be on the cover. Well, all first ladies went on the cover, but she basically made a big deal that she was never offered. Considering she was never a real model, it's like, okay, you know, it's just, you know, she's like some woman who worked at Scores. Isn't that where he met her anyway?
Let me bring out a little bit back on topic. So this thing about what went on in Florida, what impact will it have on the ongoing discussion about abortion in America?
Oh, they're just all jumping on the same range. I mean, now, mind you, if you really dig deep a little bit, what he did didn't necessarily, it wasn't the worst of the worst out of all these sleazy southern states. He did leave a little bit of crazy room that makes no sense. But like I said, they all feed off of one another. They're a piranha. One throws an idea out, and then they all come and feed off of that and see who can one up the last one. So what we are seeing is nothing but a ladder of atrocities at the American people's expense. And for the people who are voting these people in, whatever comes to them, and it's going to backfire because it's going to boomerang. Whatever you put out there, honey, it's going to come back to you. Regardless of what you think you're doing, it's coming back to you tenfold. And when it does, don't look for us for help because I don't have it for you.
Yeah, okay. I'm over Florida.
Okay.
And Georgia and Texas and Tennessee and Mississippi.
Yeah, I have no reason to be in any of those states. I do have a brother in Florida, but you know, I'm sorry, just like there's really no real reason. A couple friends, and that's great, but I find it's just not something. And Texas, forget about it. After the dairy explosion yesterday, yeah, no, Texas. I don't care if I never see Texas again.
Okay. All right. Well, seems a lot of the southwest of the United States is a write-off for all the three ladies. So let's move forward. I'm very interested to hear what we talked a little about this before we went live. So if you don't think the conversation is going to ramp up, you're in the wrong place because they're going to wrap up right now. So for more than 2 decades, United States Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has accepted luxury trips virtually every year from real estate magnate and Republican megadonor Harlan Crow.
The smugness of his black, telling people that he didn't think that he needed to do this. The smugness makes me sick to my stomach. Now, I know he's not the only one. Let's face it, y'all. Let's be very truthful. He's just the one who's being put on the platform right now for the world to see. If you think that he's the only one on the Supreme Court, I got a bridge to sell you. Matter of fact, I'll sell you one of Trump's places. How about that? Because he's not the only one. That's not to make it diminish what he's done, but I have had enough of his, and he needs to go. This is supposed to be the highest court in our country. How corrupt? We know that they were corrupt, but more and more is coming out. And I'm telling you, the fact that he's not being thrown out right now baffles me. He should have been thrown out just like Tennessee immediately. Where are our people? Where are they crying?
Why he couldn't take care of his own mother? What a cheapskate. The woman, yes, she lived very long. She was 97. She died in August of 2022. Wow. He just is the worst son, the worst man possible. He could not even afford to take care of his own mother. I mean, what was he making them do to that poor old lady? Was she turning tricks for Harlan Crow? Because I don't know what she had to do to have that white man facilitate and take care of her. Yo, the property taxes were what? $80,000 a year. He couldn't afford it. So where's his money going? And what expenses does he have? And what did he decide to sell that he, as a man who's been on the court for God knows, he couldn't afford it? Come on. Then what are you doing? Smoking your money? Like, no, it's a real like
offshore.
Jenny's spending it.
Oh, it was to be, he avoided paying inheritance taxes. That's the other thing, which is disgusting. He also all of his what?
I missed that one. Are you kidding?
When Harlan bought the house, he bought it while his mom was living in the house.
Yes.
So he put his name, his Clarence Thomas's name was also on the house at some point when his father died. So then when this changeover happened, he didn't want to assume. So however they were doing her last year's estates is where it gets critical as to find out what they actually did. I know they bought the house next door of her neighbors because it was too noisy. They got rid of that. They bought 10 acres around the perimeter of her home in her little crappy neighborhood. And they tried to make it a better neighborhood. What the hell was going on in that house is what I want to know. And good people want to know too. Like, were they having Illuminati meetings? I mean, it's really so weird, but there's more to this story and they need to keep digging because there's more to than this white man who just took care of the old lady and did some upgrades with the surrounding area. That's what's crazy. He bought more land, Harlan Crow. He also, they said, well, we were going to turn it into a museum of Clarence. Okay, well, she's been dead August 2022. Where's the museum? You're not even working on it. Where is it? And what could you possibly put in there in this house of lies about his life? I think that house was central to something related to maybe even January 6th, and they need to do some work. If they need to find some information or whatever, they need to go and raid that freaking house.
But that's what I was wondering too, because it seems like Jenny was funding this somehow. If Clarence couldn't afford to take care of his mother, where'd that money come from? So I think that he is actually, I think he is the one who actually ended up footing that, because we know that put it this way, all the people who went who couldn't afford tickets to DC and everything, somebody paid for those buses, for the hotels.
Harlan paid her salary at one point. She worked for Harlan too. What the hell was going on in this house? Eyes wide shut parties? I don't know. But something very damaging is there. And then old freak out Loserville, what's his name? What's the buck that is in the DOJ who ain't doing nothing?
You didn't say that.
Nobody's buck.
You didn't say that.
I almost called him Merlin, the magician. I mean, Merlin.
He got all stank about this poor 21-year-old, and it's like, brother, sit down.
But didn't decide not to prosecute the killers of Shanquell Robinson.
Right.
Same week.
Decided not to do that. I mean, this guy is just the enemy. He's the enemy. Yeah. I feel sorry. Right. Merrick Garland is the enemy.
All right. Regina says Thomas did not recuse himself from Monsanto cases as a Supreme Court justice, as their former lawyer voted in their favor. Not.
That's right. Yeah. But see, they've allowed that. They've allowed him for a long time. Yes. And let me tell you something. The ones who are going to rush around to protect him, watch, because those are the people that are dirty too, because he knows something about them. So they ain't going to let him go down the drain.
Aisha, I have a question. I turn to you when it comes to the political system, or what they call it, a system in America. Is there any way a Supreme Court justice can be removed?
They have to be impeached, and the Republican controlled Congress, all that stuff, it's not going to happen. And with Dianne Feinstein chilling with the shingles, we're still at a 50-50 Senate.
Okay, I just wanted to know, because he's basically admitted what he did. He doesn't think it's wrong. He says, I I didn't know it was. I should have done that. Really? When cases come to,
I guess if you
the
like
Supreme-
sitting at Walmart parking lots, you don't know a whole lot.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, it's so strange because his mother, remarried. This is the interesting part. And we know that Clarence Thomas was just that son, that little priggish little, because that's why his name was on the deed of this house, because it was one of his paternal fathers, whatever, how he landed on the deed after his stepfather passed away. So it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. It's also interesting that he never, could give Jenny a baby. Like, it's really weird. It's like it was always an alliance. It's like it was always a ruse. It doesn't even seem real. It's like they picked him up from something that he did from a long time ago. And this is how he's here. It's no different than the Manchurian Candidate. Something weird is about his whole tenure. It's been like that since the Anita Hill hearings. He's just been a bad egg, and he's come up against all these people, including Joe Biden, for a very long time. So he knows so many players, and they know him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just really interesting how he's like almost a Teflon judge.
Yeah, he is.
But again,
Seriously.
no one's going to be able to vote him out, and it just.
No.
How old is he again?
He's not 1948.
Yeah, well, people like that
75.
live forever because they're just nasty.
Okay.
Nasty.
Okay, folks.
Wasn't he supposedly sick at one point? They all like to pretend. They did that with Putin as well.
As you saw, they
got the best doctors in the world. They got the best doctors in the world, and these people will be around for at least another 30 years. 30 more, give them. Seriously, it's really that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You are watching State of Things with Aisha, Jill, and LaLa, and as you can tell, it's another calm conversation we are having. So, Clarence, so do you think with this whole Clarence Thomas thing, where there's smoke, there's fire, more to be released?
Oh yes. Honey, there's a blaze behind this. There's a 5-alarm fire. We're just not seeing it. We just scratched the surface. That's it. Just scratch the surface. And then when one goes down, the others shall fall, and we will see who else has been just as corrupt. And don't be surprised that some of them that may be the ones that you love, because once one gets away with something, the other ones feel that they can too. Be prepared. I warned you. That's my prediction.
Thomas failed to disclose $686,589 in income his wife earned from the Heritage Foundation. So yet again, Ginny is hiding behind her husband, and instead reported none where you put on your taxes when your wife. He blatantly lied on this, and the must get done. When are we all going to be tired of these people getting away with everything that we would get in severe trouble for? So I don't really understand it, but the Heritage Foundation, they made some kind of deal with the devil about dismantling America. And they've been doing it slowly, because remember, they were with the Koch brothers. And once that's all of this has been a long game, and how they plan on making more money. It's terrible.
So I just want to update here. Regina says, love the Manchurian Candidate analogy. And Regina says, we've known all about him since on the Coke can.
He almost took Coke down in one go. Coca-Cola almost died as a brand based upon that Coca-Cola with the pubic hair.
Did nobody ever want to
Coke had to come out with a severe campaign. I would really have loved to have been on that ad account, just to be like, oh, we got to change this branding up.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's go to our next conversation topic. NPR, for those who don't know, is National Public Radio, a major news media outlet, information outlet in the United States, becomes the first major news organization to stop using Twitter, saying that the Elon Musk-owned platform, quote, is taking actions that undermine our credibility.
And every chance that he does. if you follow, as much as you have to keep your eyes open. I know some people say I don't want to follow certain people, but if you want to be aware of what's going on, you really do need to make sure you follow people that you despise, because you really do need to see what's going on in their world so that you can be better prepared. Elon knows exactly what he's doing. Elon, idiot. He's done nothing of his own. He's always stepped in and bought things. He's never created anything. Let's not get it twisted. He's for everything that we're all against. And he's getting away with it because people think just because you're a billionaire, you're smart money. Well, hell, they thought Trump was smart money, but he had how many bankruptcies? Mm-hmm. So, no, I agree with them, and they're not the first company. But immediately when they came out with that, he immediately had a tweet for him. Like, well, pretty much bad.
NPR only gets 1% of funding because remember, Idiot Orange, he cut a lot of those funding things, and I don't think the Biden administration really replenished much after that, or that's just the way it is. But the reality is, if anybody is a fun baby and a trust fund baby, it's Elon Musk. All of it. Remember, Tesla wouldn't be Tesla without our taxpayer money. So that is ours. He belongs to us. So I don't know who he wants to pretend he is, but such a Cancerian, such a male Cancer. He's such a whinger. It's like always saying he's doing the most when he's actually done the least, because the reality is he got the money from Biden's, the liberals gave him grant money. They gave him money to fund his stuff. And then he bites the hand that feeds.
What happened to the tunnel, Jill? Have you heard anything else from the tunnel?
95% of his money came from American funds, period. Yeah. Tax funds that Democrats, he played the Democrats like a fool.
And still does.
Still does. Frankly, I've cut him off. I wouldn't have to do with him. And I recommend getting the Audi if you want an electric vehicle.
But, what I don't understand is that all of his little Republican friends, the people he likes, people he's always commenting on their posts, they get government funding too. It's called salary, benefits, expense accounts. And Trump was one of the biggest of them all, getting tax refund checks on taxes he did not pay.
They're welfare babies. Mm-hmm. They're welfare, and they're proud of it.
But NPR getting their little
like you said, Jill, it goes back to Americans being so gullible and so ridiculous to just follow the path of people that really have not made a difference just because they show things. I've often told people, and I've done many broadcasts about, you need to stop worrying about what the other people are doing and try to look up to people for things that they don't have. Do you know how many people I have known that rents out place, and rents Lamborghinis, goes and takes the pictures and then takes them back, and then they have a can of beans. Okay, so this is no better and this is no different. The American mindset is diseased, and until it starts healing, nothing is going to change. But we keep going down this consumerism. We keep going down what we want. We want to follow the Jones. When the Jones ain't got shit, we want to keep doing this. We want to do that instead of seeing what we can do to change things. But even if we wanted to do something to change things, we're so divided, it'll never get done.
It's so true.
Yeah, and do you call them woke news or something like that?
Yeah,
NPR is far from woke. Okay, let's just be clear.
And that woke stupid Twitter account, which he also follows, and a couple other people that I like. I'm trying to be, sometimes you want to spy on what people are following too. Some people are like, you just follow, I'm following. Yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah, and wokeness. That person on Twitter has to go.
We're not woke enough, in my opinion. Is about to get hurt.
Okay. Someone here says Pandora Puma. Hello, my friend.
Pandora.
And Black Beauty says one thing for sure. Unfortunately, quote, we the people, unquote, is certainly not the status quo in America. Nothing changes with the politician and the elites.
No. And it won't. No. And it won't. Until we become like the French were in the French Revolution.
Well,
until we get that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Jen Meyer says, hello, Pandora. All right, no problem. And to close out our conversation tonight, this is an interesting conversation topic. Hulu is going to be releasing a documentary about Freaknik, which is actually one of the producers, I believe, is Jermaine Dupuis.
Jermaine Dupuis and Uncle Luke, and both of them have daughters. Okay, I'm just going to say that.
I never knew what this was, so I'm kind of have no comment as much because I never even heard of it. It's news to me. I never knew about it.
There was a time when it was considered the Black College spring break.
Yes.
It wasn't always held in the middle of a street like it had gotten by the time I went. It was actually held like in Washington Park, and they also had something similar in Virginia. But a lot of millennials and Gen Z are kind of excited about it because they want to see their Gen X parents or Gen X people on camera, popping it open for the camera. Now, here's the problem.
Yeah.
And then you have there are some Gen X people who go on social media talking about they're scared. Let me be clear. Anyone who's truly scared is not going to run and tell people that they're scared so that people can go and look for them in every scene. That's the first thing. The second thing is I left 20 minutes later. Me and my friends, the vibe was just freaking weird. There were more men there than there were women, especially where we went into the mall and stuff. Yeah, there were women who were voluntarily in front of the cameras doing stuff. But then there were many, many, many more who were just trying to walk through a crowd and to see a man. I've never seen that many men in my whole life. You couldn't drive your car through the crowd because they were like literally in the middle of the street. And if you drove the car by and they saw you that there were women in the car, they're pounding on the windows, jumping on the car. This is scary. And like I said, I saw, and I've said this, I've had to say it many times, the car in front of me, the girls must have not had their car door locked because men were opening the door and pulling them out and just touching them and stuff. It's like, y'all talking about you're going to see a whole lot of women doing stuff. What you're about to see too is a whole lot of Black men who showed up as predators.
Yeah, but why?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What was the intention behind Jermaine Dupuis and his counterpart? What was their intention to even put this out for? Why?
That's
one. I think Jermaine Dupuis is from
in this era of where Black people are losing their rights, where we have Black men constantly being pulled over and shot in their cars. Why would you choose to bring something from the past that shines a very poor light on your culture? Why would you do that? For money? It's not going to win any awards. I can tell you that.
No, money.
Why would you do it?
Well, the first thing that I said to Aisha, because I too, Jill, I've never been. My mother didn't even let me go to a Prince concert, okay? Because she saw him laying in the bed. So
Right.
I couldn't go to no Freaknik, okay? But I did hear about it. But here was my thing. I started seeing some of the footage that was being put out, and it was atrocious. It just made me cringe as a woman.
Right.
And my thing I said was, and I am serious about this, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Y'all keep talking about all these people you don't want to put the white people out there because they don't want their kids to see them hanging people and stuff. We don't want that. Right. This is going to be the same thing.
Right.
Same thing with the swiftness that, such and such is an attorney now. You was at Freaknik and you were doing this. This is going to backfire on our community. And it's not going to be pretty. And it's not right. In no kind of way is it right. But don't think that you're going to get away with saying things about the white community that was doing things to us when you turned around and did the same thing to our own people. It's going to come out. You watch.
Right.
Hold on, just before we go further.
The other thing
hold on. Pandora says it's all about money, and also Black Beauty says
no,
my
it's
thought
not.
Exactly, Jill. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's not, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you have to remember, Jermaine Dupuis is from Atlanta. Okay, Jermaine Dupuis is also a middle-aged man from Atlanta. This is him trying to relive. Yeah, I'm sure money is part of it, but it was produced by him and Luke, so they literally used their own money and just went to Hulu because it had a big enough platform for people to see their monster piece. So part of it is that I'm sure he had some of his own footage. Yeah, I'm sure he had some of his own footage to show. But the sad thing is that people have been mentioning the sexual assaults, the rapes, and things like that.
That's okay. Let's Me Too all these dumb bitches, because the reality is Luke probably should have been Me Too'd sooner. All of them should be. Jermaine Dupri too. It's like, okay, bring it on, because the music industry hasn't really gotten its share as far as I'm concerned. So if we go down there, let somebody start coming for them, because this is wrong. Yeah. This is wrong.
But what I never liked
that Luke music anyway. I thought it was awful, horrible,
but garbage. But one thing that we're too is that a lot of men, particularly on Instagram, are revealing themselves as potential predators by the way that they're tone policing women. Well, if you didn't want to get assaulted, you shouldn't have gone in the first place, or you shouldn't have worn a short skirt. No, how about you tell men, no, if a woman is just walking by to get to a car, to get in the mall or wherever, and she has on shorts or whatever, you do not have the right to slap her. Period.
No. Don't touch me.
If she didn't say no, you shouldn't have to say no.
Like I said, the culture is just like, it's a culture of chlamydia. You know, what it's going to do is neutralize all of it, which is they did this and then black men do that. It's kind of known. It's like all it now just creates more of a situation to show that, oh, black men are more predators, you know, and that maybe Joe Biden was right to use the term.
And it's so bad
because to be honest with you, they were in the 90s when they said predators. There were predators on the subway, and they were called predators. They just so happened, you know, we're getting to this point where if I'm saying a fact about the people on this in the box in the room were predators, you're going to come for me because they're black? No, they're predators first. Their color has nothing to do with it. But if the shoe fits, and if all y'all going to respond to being called predators, no, it's like predators were all sorts of people committing crimes. That stop playing games. But it's so funny. Black people keep responding to it as if that's me, thug. Oh, they mean us. Get over it. Because if the shoe fits, keep showing shows like this. They're going to do so much more damage. And but that's,
and you know what?
That's Saturn for you. Saturn is bringing it all up.
But what bothers me too isn't it's not just that.
That was the most disrespectful phase of music, the Luke music.
Yeah.
And they all allowed it. They were molesting women on their stage shows. It was obvious.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. Yeah. And the music industry allowed it. Don't try to come for like Prince's era or whatever we were doing. It was actually a show. But what they were doing, they were literally having sexual acts on their show. In fact, a few people did get arrested back in those days.
All right,
for it.
let's get back to Freaknik, Aisha.
I want to know, but here's the thing I want to know.
The fact that they would even show it.
But here's the thing I want to know is that what agenda do you think Black women have for calling out Black men who harm us? We're doing a very bad job in our community when it comes to the discussion around sexual assault, period, particularly of women. Yeah. You want us, our community wants us to be very sympathetic toward men, and we should. But when it comes to women, it's like, no, we're still in the you asked for it stage. Or no, you should have said no.
Because
I'm sorry.
These men are trying to pretend like they're Mandingo. You know, they like that part of the slave guy who comes to do the job that somebody asked him to do. They're caught with they lack such self-awareness. That's the crazy part.
All right, let's interrupt for a second. Pandora says Black men these days don't give about their skin color. Well, I won't say that all Black men are like that. Right. Black Beauty says, ladies, I totally agree. The shame of it all. Black men.
Horrible.
I can't say all. But Pandora also says, did Luke do anything decent? No. I just want to say, I don't know
No,
how
he's
this
still taking money from the devil. That's how he makes.
But I gotta say this. Well, let me say this thread on Instagram that pissed me off. I'm like, we need to talk about this. Guess who posted it? Keisha Lance Bottoms.
I don't know who that is. Who is
She used to be the mayor of Atlanta. Just finished
Atlanta.
working for Joe Biden's administration.
Yeah.
Well, she's an
Oh,
idiot.
And she was laughing about it.
But you know
but
what?
some
Some of these HBCU sisters are kind of fucked up in the head too. I'm sorry.
but I don't just from my lens.
It's disturbing.
I don't comment much on these conversations, but I gotta say so. I don't know how this documentary helps Blacks, Americans.
Ow.
That's why the white people said, "Let's do it. Let's do it."
So this is what I say. Not all money is good money.
No,
it's not.
And
Jermaine
so unfortunately too, because the media is making a lot of this, and of course the media that's making the most of it isn't controlled by people that look like us.
No.
It just fits a narrative and here's the funny thing.
Solidifies
I bet you it'll be very interesting to see how much chatter online is going to happen on this compared to what happened in Tennessee.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you this though. One of the things that they're not expecting is probably a second Me Too movement. And I say this just because you take someone who was sexually assaulted 30 years ago and it's on video, and they spent the last 30 years trying to recover from that. And they're good now, and you're about to re-traumatize a whole lot of women.
Black women don't have the same rights as white women. Don't you know that? They won't prosecute. They won't do anything. This is just here to show the culture of black community in the worst light possible. And it's going to be yet again Black men exploiting Black women to make money off of it. In my opinion, that's what Jermaine Dupri is doing.
Let me tell you something.
Get enough of it.
Don't
have enough
do you know
money?
when it got weird? Do you know when it got weird? It got weird when it wasn't just college students coming. When randos from around Atlanta and the surrounding towns and states started showing up. That's when it got weird.
Never
No, it wasn't.
signed.
No, not the Freaknik. I'm talking about Freaknik, not Freaknik.
Even from me listening to what that was, it was just
weird.
bad. I'm actually wondering what would get people to gravitate to a festival like that. First of all, like, why were you there?
What was actually?
Hold on.
Well, see, the thing is that it actually started out as a picnic.
And Jill and Black Beauty says too many Black people are wrong in promoting this kind of ignorance, and Black people need to stop doing anything for a buck.
It's true, but that's how we've all crabs in a barrel.
So and this is the unfortunate thing. I'm already seeing how much talk has been made about this, and I'm going, wow. The more I know, the less understand.
Right. It's damaging.
And understand this one focuses on 96, which was the year that it turned. And it was also the year that Essence did a huge profile on it and the sexual assault piece. That's why it got canceled.
And just to piggyback on what you said, Aisha, about a second Me Too movement. Well, the original one was started by Black women, and then it was taken over by white women. So it's just.
Well, the Girls Gone Wild ones will probably come out next talking Me Too.
Of course.
That's what I was going to say, because this is the equivalent of that. It's coming. It's coming.
But the thing is, unfortunately, that won't have the
bite.
The bite, because compared to that community, compared to the bite that's going to have to this community. And I agree with you said,
Aisha. Been sued a million times.
And also I agree here. I think, Aisha, this is so true. I always say these days when I look at these things, trauma, repetition, symbolism.
Horrible.
This is just going to deepen trauma that is already so far deep. And can you imagine what's going to happen when 16, 12, 13-year-olds are looking at this? Black children.
No, I don't think like I said before, I think I said this in our personal company, or I said to someone, they're laughing about it, they're excited about it. what's going to happen to them when they see their mama busting it open on a camera.
They
You're
won't
not
care
ready for that.
because if
No,
their
no,
mom like that-
it's the equivalent, but it's the
No.
equivalent of walking in on your parents having sex. You're
No,
not prepared for that.
not.
You
They
think you
don't-
are, but you're not.
That's assuming that their mothers have evolved into a state where they're playing Pollyanna at home. I would almost bet that the mentality of people who go to this place have done some things in front of their children that has been traumatic ever since. So I'm not going to even like give them the credence that this was an innocent partaking. They had to shut this down in 1999 by the police. So this is the thing. It is coming to the point where people are looking at people's behaviors, just like they arrested that mother and indicted her for giving her son a gun and leaving it around. People are responsible. And sadly, the young people who see it have no mentorship. You would think that someone like Luke or Jermaine Dupri would be interested in being mentors to our society. But instead, they're pouring out other people's lives. And it's disgusting. And you know what? They really should take a long look at their pathetic, sick, disgusting lives, because it's really nothing to be proud of what they've just done. Nothing. This is gross. We have young people, you know, like I said once in Germany, when people try to cross ahead of like a light and people like yell at somebody because it's like red and they'll go, there are children to think about. And that's how they evolved after the Holocaust. There are young people looking at you. The problem in America is we infantilize people. We make them seem younger for longer. These are like 50. And we're giving excuses as if they're children. And the reality is we are the adults. We have to be better. And our Black kids in our community are dying and committing suicide and doing all sorts of stuff because they can't make it. And you squeeze a drop of their blood to promote this disgusting all your music. I don't ever want to hear another Jermaine Dupri song or a Luke thing. It will never again. I never listened to Luke, but
here's the thing: despite all the outrage, despite all the call outs on Hulu that are going around, Hulu is still going to persist with it because guess what? Women, it's Black people, not white people. But if it was white women,
but here's the interesting thing. These people have been holding on to footage that could have possibly been holding crimes that needed to be prosecuted on. And on that note, I hope every DA in the United States is watching and comes for it, because from this day forth, the minute that it becomes seen, I don't think it's outside of the statute of limitations, because it means that you were obstructing justice from happening. All the people who sat on the footage, I have at it, DAs, have at it.
All right.
Depends on the state, Jill, if the statute of limitations persists. However, New York City,
the statute of limitations for women making claims against sexual abuse or children, sexual harassment, it is never up anymore. Never up. It doesn't go away. It's always fresh on the table.
Last comment is given by Jill, and the Black Beauty says this convinces Republican and middle of the road whites that all men are just Black hillbillies behaving like savages.
The key word was savages. That's the thing. And
Pandora goes, my J on fire.
Hey, I want to say to Pandora, congratulations on your daughter's wedding. I saw it today online. Congratulations. Nice. Happy couple.
Black Beauty says, amen, Jill. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, I don't see the purpose of this being well. I know it's money, but we have to get back to some comments that were made.
And the sad thing is, it's not that much money. These places don't offer that much money for that. That's what's really, really kind of
their
sad.
Subscriptions are so cheap. That's I think how does anyone make money, right?
No, they offer a lot of money when they want the story. But for this, no. I think it was easy to have, and I think the fact is, people need to have some transparency. How much did you sell your sisters and brothers for this? And how much have you obstructed justice by holding on to this footage? And what are we going to see?
Okay, that's it.
I don't want to see. I know that I can't.
I know.
And I'm saying I hope tell very many women, like, I know we're talking about it, but I'm also very sensitive to this being a
Me too.
survivor myself, and I'm
Me
telling you, when don't get cute and think that you can handle this. If you have this type of history, you need to protect yourself. Stay away from the documentary. Don't give it any kind of thought about it. You don't need to be seeing things that could possibly resurface and hurt you. So I'm saying, as a woman, don't trigger yourself.
Unfortunately,
And that's why it triggered me so much, LaLa. That's why it triggered me too, so much, because I had to watch this happen to someone after it had happened to me as a kid. So it's like see, I've never forgotten that image.
Nope.
Well, we have to unfortunately realize that Black trauma is a $1 billion industry.
Yes, it is.
Trauma, period.
But no, well, for this platform specific, Black trauma, and I'm going to say multi-trillion-dollar industry, because it keeps on continuing. Because I'll just make this point: how come if this happened to another culture, would this be on Hulu? If this happened to just out there, if this happened in a Jewish culture setting, would we ever see that on TV?
No. Let me tell you why you're not going to see that.
Okay, go ahead.
There is, I never will forget, when I first moved to LA, we lived in the area where it was predominantly Jewish, Orthodox. And, we have all those massive billboards. They put up a pretty nasty looking billboard in the neighborhood. And I'm going to tell you right now, within 2 days, that billboard was down. It will not happen in any of those type of communities. It's only our type of communities who are so divided, and they know that they can keep seeing us in a certain light. And no, it will never happen in their community. I watched it, and the billboard was in a bikini. So, but they didn't want their children seeing that.
There have been some interesting things about the Amish, or about people. I've seen about the Hasids in documentaries that are inflammatory. But I also find the communities to be a little bit more stable as far as, not selling out their own. It's
culture.
The Black
culture.
That's, that's how, it just says a lot about Jermaine Dupri. It says a lot about he was the wrong person always to have the power that he once had. And God only knows how many other people he exploited and hurt and damaged.
That's it for tonight. That's it for tonight. And there were some more comments at the Pandora says thank you, but for the kind words. And she says, you guys attention. They don't care about the money. Absolutely. Jen says great conversation as always. A little while back, Regina had made the comment, it's dangerous to have an abortion before 6 weeks, not the pill, but the procedure.
Yeah.
And Jill, you talked about an explosion. Cinnamon Canela asked, what
there was 18,000 cattle were blown up and in a fire in a dairy farm. Okay. And some people believe it was done on purpose, because some people believe that what the new Republican endgame is to dismantle everything, food, all of this, so that the Biden administration will not get voted back again. So they say that that's what their new agenda is to. So if you go, you can hear all the cows screaming as they burn alive.
Crazy. God. It's crazy.
And so we know about Texas. We know what they're capable. We saw them doing this with the railroad. All of these things that they're doing, they are committing terrorism, domestic terrorism. The white supremacists, they are active, and stop. Everybody needs to stop thinking these things are accidents. They are being highly coordinated.
Very well planned.
Okay. The same state that was mad about Oprah for talking about how they do the meat industry. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. They said they lost $400 million in the meat industry. Actually, Quebec is closing down one of its biggest meat manufacturers, a pork facility. They've lost $400 million, they claim. The reason is, actually, to be honest, most people have stopped eating meat, and for a good reason. It may not be because you want to be vegan, but the way that they're killing the animals right now, you really are taking your life in your own hands, because they are unhealthy practices. And that is, you have to be incredibly careful about what they're doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying to poison people as well. They want Biden out. and they're going to do whatever it takes. When he decides to announce, you watch. There's going to be all sorts of weird things, shortages, food hard to get, because the corporations and the new BRICS economy, which is probably being funded by something extraneous outside by an adversary. This is so easy to see what's going on. America's never been this depleted of anything. So for it to ever get like this, there's no coincidence. You have to always remember, do you know how much planning it takes to make something look like a coincidence? Never forget that.
Yes.
All right. That is it. Last comment. Black Beauty says it's also dangerous to force women to give birth to unwanted babies. All right. We done. What a conversation night. We knew beforehand was going to be fire. Lived up and past expectation. Before we let the ladies go, we always say for them to give their, I don't know, identities. I would say identities on the various social media platforms that they're on, and they are always active. You see, the thing you don't get to see is our back channel. Whoa, if you want now, so you know what? Elon Musk is charging people to get a blue check. We would charge you to get access to our back channel. All right. First up, LaLa.
Hello, everybody. You can reach me at Realty Goddess on all social media platforms because I'm addicted.
And you're international. There you
I
go.
am international.
And Jill Jones.
Jill Jones Music at Instagram and Jill D. Jones at Twitter.
And not me, but next up, Aisha K. Staggers.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter, AK Staggers on Instagram.
Thank you. Myself, if you want to get in touch with me, website, thedrvibeshow.com, email dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Twitter at drvibeshow, and Instagram at the drvibeshow. If you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, you can do it on my website, thedrvibeshow.com, and on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Dr. Vibe Show. I think we've got everything covered. As always, if you want to subscribe, go to YouTube, the best place. Click on subscribe and notification. You get notified when these conversations come up. If on other platforms, just like us. And if you want to touch base with me, there's email address dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. That's it. That's all. Another epic conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tell us if you did, and tell people about it, because there's not too many conversations like this, I think, in the world. So as always, I want to say, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy.